Hey, first off, I'd like to thank the Yaheetech company for being kind enough to send us a rustic brown console table so that we are able to assemble it and review it for you. So the first thing I do is to make sure that all the parts are included in the box. You never know when something could go wrong. So everything was in there, but just so you know, you do want to look for everything. Every single piece has either a number or a letter on it. So it's really easy to identify each piece. All the bigger pieces that are like the actual furniture, you're going to have numbers 1 through 15. So there should be 15 different numbered pieces. And a couple of the pieces do have more than one piece to them. So keep an eye out for that also. Like number 12, there's 2 of them. It lists all of that in with the directions. So it'll be really easy to follow. There's also letters of A through N for all the smaller parts like the screws, the nuts, the bolts. So once you know that all your pieces that you need are there, we can get started with the directions on page 1. So the first thing you want to do is take out letter I, and this piece is going to be a track that comes apart. So once you pull this track open, you're going to see a little plastic piece in here. So you're going to pull this plastic piece towards the side, and as you pull it forward, it's going to allow you to take it out, which is going to allow us to do the next step of screwing it onto another piece. You're going to need to repeat that step with the other one as well. So once you push that out, slide it that way, pull it out. Next, you're going to need pieces 2 and 3, and you're going to need the letter B screws. We're going to use 4 of them. In the picture, they have the side with the holes in it facing up, whereas the side that has the divot is going to be facing down because we're going to work on the side with the holes on it. We're going to take that track that we just took apart. I'm going to start with number 2. And looking at the picture, they have the part with the divot on the same side that we're going to be working on. Even though the divot's underneath, it's on the same side that we are going to be working with this piece. So you'll see 2 small, tiny holes. So we're going to ignore the bigger ones and look for the 2 tiny holes. Those are the holes that we're going to use to screw in this metal piece. And I'm going to face it with the flat part of the metal piece on the back here towards me. The divot's underneath. I'm going to take out 2 of the screws, line the opening in the metal bar where it's still fitting onto your piece. You do not want to initially tighten the screws in all the way until you have both of them in, and then you can go back and forth and tighten them little by little. That way you have some wiggle room in case something is not in place. So once you've finished installing the piece on 2, you're going to repeat basically the same thing on 3. So the one thing you do want to keep in mind, this is 3. Here's the flat part of the metal for this bar, and it lines up with these 2 indented holes. Same thing as what I did with 2. Here's the flat part of the bar, and it lines up with those 2 indented holes. So once you've completed putting the 2 screws on each of those, we're going to move on to pieces 7 and 8, and we're going to use the remainder of the bar that we originally used, which is letter I. So we're going to need 4 pieces of the B screws again, and we're going to need 4 of letter H. So we're going to take the bar that we have left, we're going to open it up, and there's going to be holes along here. So the ones we're looking for is going to be the very first hole by the bumper or oval hole. And then on the very opposite far end, there's 2 circular holes. We're going to go for the circular hole, the second one in, not the one on the very, very end, the next one over. Okay? And then again, on our piece here, I am starting with number, which one do I have in front of me? 8. Okay? So 8 has the 2 indented holes. That's the top that we're going to work on. On the opposite end of these 2 big indented holes, there are 2 small holes down here. So we're going to line up our bar, and the 2 white holes at the top, we're going to leave those alone. For now, that's where our next screw is going to go into. So we're going to start with our letter B screws though. I'm going to line this up with the holes that, like we said, the furthest one over here and the second one from the end on this side. Okay, so you can see the placement of all of these on 8. We've got our 2 big screws sticking up here, little and little. We're going to repeat basically the same thing with number 7. Again, the flat side with the bumper is going to go on the same side as these white dots. The 2 indented ones are the side we're working on, but we're going to work on the bottom where the 2 little holes are for this. And you're going to search for the exact same holes that you did with number 8. It's going to be a replica of 7, just facing the opposite way. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and screw all these in the rest of the way, and then we'll move on to the next step. So after we've finished doing numbers 7 and number 8, this is what they look like completed. Then we're going to move on to page 4. So we need 1 of number 4, which is this big piece. And then we're going to go back and use pieces 2 and 3 again. And then we'll need 4 of the number A screws. So when we're working with this, we want to make sure that the line divot that's in here lines up with each one of these pieces. So I'm going to take the flat flush part that does not have the line divot and put it facing me. Then I'm going to take numbers 3 and numbers 2 on each side with the bar that we installed facing outward. The line divot has to line up with the line divot on the big long piece. So that way it all lines up. Once we have this all lined up, we're going to take our screw from behind, right in the holes here and here, as well as down here and here. We're going to simply line them up so each piece matches because there's already indentations for the screws to go into. Letter K, the Allen key, to be able to do these screws, which comes with it. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then our next step, which is number 5, we also need piece number 5. Now we're going to put this one on its side, and we're going to simply slide this right in to those line divots with the more decorative side facing upward. The other side is very plain and flat, so you'll know you don't have the right side when you look at it. Line it up. Okay, and I'm going to set that off to the side. We're going to move on to page 6. So on page 6, we need pieces 1 and pieces 10. And then we need letter H screws. We need 15 of them. We need the 2 F screws and the 2 J knobs. So we're going to take each one of these white little spots where you can screw something in, and the letter H is going to go in it, both on 1 and on 10. So we're going to take all those spots and fill them in with these. Then on 1, the 2 holes that are not the white ones, right here and right here, is where our knobs are going to go, and we're going to screw them in from the back. So I'm taking my 2 letter F screws, I'm taking my 2 knobs. I do need to go back in with the screwdriver and tighten all of these yet, but I'm going to show you the knobs first so you can see the screws are in all the white spots. I'm going to take the screw from behind here. Then the knob is going to go in on the other side. And once I have it screwed on pretty well, I'm going to take the screwdriver, hold the knob with one hand tight, and then just tighten the screw. So we know that knob is on well. I'm going to repeat the same thing right over here. There we go. Then we're going to continue to put the letter H screws in each one of the white spots on this board as well. Once we have them all in, I do have one that I dropped that I got to put in, so I'll be back with that one. But all the white spots need a screw in there, and then we're just going to tighten them in. All right, and then I'll be back after we tighten them all in to move on to the next page. The only part of 10 that you do not want the H screws in is the 2 white dots on the long side of the board. Whereas the other side has 3 here in the center, this one has 2 in the center. These 2, we are not putting those screws in. All the rest of them have the screws in, and we're going to slide that off to the side because now we are still going to be working with 1. We're going to bring back the first part of our drawer that we already made, and we need 2 of number 6. We're also going to need 4 of the number A screws, and we're going to need 8 of the letter G round pieces. Now I'm going to take this drawer and I'm going to take 6 and we're going to line it up with the holes that they have in the bottom of the drawers. Right here and here there's 2 holes, and right here and here there's 2 holes. So those are the ones we're going to be working with, and I want to make sure the part of number 6 that is at the bottom is going to be the piece that has the 2 plasticky things in the holes, not the open holes. So that's going to go on the bottom. Same thing with the other one with number 6. Same way. Yep. That's going to go on the bottom here. We're going to be taking our letter A screws through that hole into there. And we're going to be taking our letter G round pieces. You want to put the side that you can put the screwdriver in on the outside so that way we can work with it. We're going to be sticking it in these other open holes on number 6. But you want to make sure the open part of the circle, so there's a little indentation here, that part is going to be facing towards the hole at the top. So you have the spot that you can put the screwdriver in on the outside, and the hole that's on the inside now is going to be facing this way so that we can put our next piece in through here. So we're going to put one here and here, and the same thing on the other piece. Okay, I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to take my letter A screws in through the bottom here. Make sure we line up the holes. And for these, we need our Allen key to screw them in. Okay, now that I have my screws in far enough, I'm going to flip it this way so it's a little bit easier for me to work with. Okay, we're going to repeat that with the other one, and we just have to put in the rest of our letter G pieces. So now that we have those in and we just have to screw them tighter, we're going to take 2 more pieces. Let me just flip this around a moment. You're going to have your big open circles on the side of the drawer. Again, here's the hole where the screw is going to be going in, so we want to make sure the opening in our circle is going to face upward, but we also want to make sure the part where the screwdriver fits in is facing on the outside. Okay, I'm going to repeat that same thing on the other side. And then this piece, we're going back to number 1. We're going to take it so the side with all the screws that are sticking out line up with all the holes in our drawer. And we're just going to simply line them up and stick them in. Now, if it does not go in all the way, it's probably because one of your circular G pieces has slid out of the way a little bit and it was blocking the screw from going in. Because remember, we had to leave that opening there for the screw to go into. So all you have to do is just take the screwdriver a little bit and move it so that it is able to go in. And once you have it in there, all you simply need to do is just tighten each one of these G pieces so it locks onto the screw and holds it tight. So we'll repeat that with all of those G pieces. I'll go through and tighten these other pieces, and then we can move on to the next step. So now that our drawer is completed, so you tightened all the pieces that could be tightened that you needed to go through with the screws and the circular pieces. And then we're going to put this off to the side. Now we're going to take 7 and 8 from earlier, and we're going to add in number 9. And we need 4 of those round G pieces again. We're going to put it on each one of the 4 corners. And again, make sure the hole is facing this end because that's where we're going to be coming in from. I'm going to make sure the hole, the opening, is facing this end and the opposite on the opposite side. I'm going to put this in with the hole facing this way. Now that we've got these in, we're going to take our 7 and 8 pieces. Make sure I got the right one. This one's 8. I'm going to put this one on this side. Okay. And to make sure that you are putting these in on the right side, facing the right way, you have 3 open holes here that we're probably going to be putting a letter G in later on piece, but not yet. So those are going to be on the top, but the metal bar is going to be on the bottom. The same thing on the other side. The metal sliding part is on the bottom. The holes are on the top. And then, as before, we're going to tighten them onto there. So when we tighten these, since there was that hole in letter G, the screw that we stuck in there is getting locked in around it. Okay, once we have those securely on there, we can move on to page number 9. So number 9, we still want this same piece, but we want to bring in number 10, and we need 7 of the letter G pieces again. So we're going to bring back number 10 that we were working on earlier. I need 7 of these pieces. So we're going to put our letter G pieces in each one of the openings here on this side. They're going to face this way. Then we have 2 on the sides here and here. They're going to face this way again. And same thing on the other side, right here and right here. Then we're going to take our big board and we're going to stick that right into the holes once we line them up. Once we've stuck it in there, same as before, we just need to tighten those G circular pieces. Step number 9 is complete. Step number 10, we still need this piece, but we want 1 piece of 13 and 2 of the letter E screws. So we've got our number 13 bar, and then we're going to take 2 of these letter E screws. This is one we're going to want to use the Allen key they provided for us with. So we have our little slider bars here. We're going to go right up against the bottom of the drawer. I'm going to stick our bar right at the tip here, and we're going to take our letter E screw in both these holes on the bar, line them up with the hole, and that's it for step number 10. For number 11, we need pieces 11 and 15. We're going to take the 2 number 14 bars, and we're going to take 4 of letter M screws. And we're going to do the same thing as we did on the last step, where we're just going to line it up with the white holes, place it on top, stick the screw through. Okay, it looks identical on both sides, so I don't think it really matters which way you have it flipped, as long as you have the holes lined up. I'm going to put the screws on here, repeat the same thing on this one, here and here. On the open white spots, tighten them on, and then we'll move on to the next section. Okay, so once you've completed attaching the bars, we can move on to the next page, page 12. So we're going to need the 2 number 12 pieces, as well as the pieces we were just working on, 11 and 15. Then we're also going to need 8 of the number A screws and 4 of the letter D screws. I have my A and D screws. So now when we're lining this up, we want number 11 is going to be our lower shelf. So that's going to be on the end by where the feet of this stand are going to go. Now the other thing we want to keep in mind when we're looking at this, one side has 1 hole, the other side has 2 holes. The side with 2 holes has to line up with our metal bar. So we have our bar down here. We're going to line it up with the holes. Now the lower hole is where we're going to stick our letter D screw. That's the lowest hole has D. And then the next one is going to have the A screw. And they're going to go right into these. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. The letter D screw is going to go into the lowest hole, which is going to be going into like our metal bar at the bottom. And the letter A will go in the very next hole up, which will go into the wood. Then at the top here of the bar, we want another letter A screw to go into the top piece of the wood. All right, then on the next set of bars, we're going to do the same thing. We want to make sure that the part of the bar is down on the bottom half, and you want to have the opening over here on this side, and that's going to be the top shelf, not the bottom shelf of these two. There will be more to come, but of these two shelves, this one's going to be the top shelf. So again, we want to make sure we have our letter D screw going into the metal bar. Then we're going to put our letter A screw into the wood just above that. We're going to put another letter A screw in the hole lining up with the top part of the wood right up here. And then we'll repeat the same thing on the opposite side. So once we've finished building this, we can move on from page 12 onto page 13. So we're going to take this same piece that we were just working on. We're going to bring back this piece that our drawer will be going into, where the slots for our drawer is. I'm going to place it down this way. So the opening is up here, and I have this opening in this shelf right over here. So I'm lining it up like that, and I'm going to stick this right inside these metal bars. There we go. And slide it down in there. Perfect. Now I'm going to take two of pieces C and two of pieces E. We'll take our Allen key that's provided. We're going to have one of the letter C and one of the letter E on each side. If you have this laying the way I do, then you want letter C, the bigger one, to be on the top hole. And we want to line it up with the opening in the wood. Let's see where our opening is. There we go. And then we'll take the smaller one and put it in the lower hole. Again, we want to line this up. I'm leaving them out partially because I'll tighten them once I get the other ones in, so it gives me some wiggle room to get them into place. Again, we want the larger letter C on the top hole and the smaller letter E on the lower hole. So that's it for page 13. We can move on to page 14. I'm going to lift this up. We're going to pull these out. I'm going to make sure I pull this till it clicks onto this one. Once you have it inserted on the track, so again, you want to make sure it clicks in all the way. And once it has clicked in all the way, you should be able to close it and open it with it stopping it so it's not going to just fall out. So once you insert it on the track, just make sure you keep the track out all the way so you push the drawer in so it can click into place, lock into place. Same thing on the other side, and then your drawer is good. We're almost done. Next, we're going to move on to page 15 so we can start our final touches. Next, we're going to take our letter N piece and two of our letter B screws. I'm going to take my screwdriver. We're going to take this and feed the wire part through the hole first. So I'm going to stick that in. I'm going to turn mine the other way just because I want the plugs facing outward towards the drawer, and our little adapters down here for USB ports, I also would like that closer to the front of this stand. So I'm going to face it that way when I stick it in. There's two holes in the top of this plate, so we're just going to take the letter B screw and put one in each of the holes. Now, once that's done, all that's left is finding the right location that you'd like to keep it and mounting it to the wall. Now, if you have drywall or plaster walls like I do, you need to do two things. Either A, you can find the wood stud in the wall and you can put a screw directly into that and it will grip tight. If you do not have that, then we need to use these extra pieces that they gave us. You would take a drill and you drill a hole just wide enough to fit this plastic piece in there that came right in the bag marked the letter L. Once you drilled the hole, you will stick this plastic piece into the hole using a hammer to bang it in. And once you do that, it's going to be ready for the screw. But before you do that, so you're going to take the zip tie, you're going to take this metal bracket that has come in bag L, and you're going to stick one of the holes through the zip tie. Leaving the zip tie open, you'll go to the back leg. You're going to wrap it right around here. So I have it wrapped around here on the back leg with my metal piece on. Then you're going to stick one side through the other of the zip tie hole, and it's going to be on there tight. This way, we can now take this part and take the screw that's included in bag L, and this is now ready to be screwed into the wall depending on where you want to put it. Again, if you have a wood beam and you know where it is that you can put it right into, or you have wooden walls, you can put that directly into the wall. But with drywall or plaster, you must first drill the hole, insert one of these plastic pieces. The hole should be just big enough to fit the plastic piece. You hammer the plastic piece into the wall. Then all of this can be screwed right through the plastic piece while it is in the wall. That will help secure it because this will expand once it's in the wall and the screw goes through, it will expand. So that way it can't just pop right back out, and it will hold this shelf sturdy to the wall so it can't tip over. And then your installation would be complete. You just have to repeat that on the other side as well, and you'll be all done. Hope this was helpful. I hope you love this cabinet as much as I'm going to. There's the finished look. I think it's gorgeous, handy, and it's nice and slim, so you can definitely put it in a lot of spaces without it taking up too much room, which is great. So I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope you all have a good one. Thanks.
Hey, so I hope you enjoyed this video. The links to the product and my store are below. I do earn a small commission, which helps me to be able to make more videos for you and do more reviews. So I do appreciate that, and it doesn't charge you anything extra, but I do appreciate the support, and I hope I can bring a lot more great reviews to you. Thanks.